South Africans, we are happy at home. We love our home. Although people say,
2023, South Africa lost 1,700 millionaires. That's about 5+ billion in taxes.
The reality that a lot of people are thinking from the politics of the stomach more than they are from a progressive point of view. We're running away because maybe we don't see how that digital landscape is translating to our people.
Oh, it's very...
And for my family.
I can't wait for the country to catch up. Professional tourism is killing us in terms of being able to afford. But in the same breath, South Africans are also taking to the seas and leaving the country because I can't afford this country, the tax is too high, da 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 da.
I think there's a balance that can be maintained here. I mean, to allow, there's an opportunity, I think, to look at how we allow people to still not be excluded from a place they call home, while I think we need to find a balance where we can, this dance can work, where we still attract tourists. But also what it makes, where it took me was also, but that's also for us as locals to look at opportunities we can earn in foreign dollars. I mean, I don't know if I'm being fair, if it's the same opportunity for all of us. But I guess for professionals, it's also a lovely opportunity to look at, is there a way I can earn in dollars or in a foreign currency? But when I was in Bulawayo many years ago, is it not something that is resolved by having a prize for locals and then a prize for
foreigners?
Yeah. I mean, Kruger National Park does the same. And in Bulawayo, when I was there, that's what I had to pay. I wasn't paying local rates.
Yeah.
So I think, there's an opportunity.
Maybe from a tourism perspective, but maybe immigration is something completely... Remember when you're immigrating...
Of course, you are here.
You are as... layman, right? I need to live day to day like you. Whereas Kruger, I'm going on holiday, let's be real. So I'm doing a luxurious activity that's temporary.
I'd like a friend of mine who's really in politics, and I'd like to hear what the legislation, it will be interesting to look at how we can creatively work around legislation, not to stifle the economy, but also to bring that balance so that things are not extremely expensive, but also that these opportunities, of nomads brings us quality of employment in all LSMs.
Yeah. And talking about nomads and talking about, the fact that we can live, work and play anywhere in the world really now. There was an interesting study done by Profmed on professionals leaving South Africa and seeking opportunities abroad and the reality of the brain drain and its impact on South Africa. And as we're talking about all these opportunities that are available, I want us to be honest and say, have you considered leaving South Africa for foreign pastures? I won't say greener pastures because then we'll go into a whole poetic discussion.
Yes.
Have you ever considered leaving South Africa for foreign pastures? Hands up.
I have.
Yes or no?
Yes, I have considered.
Oh, so all of us around the table have. Why, Michelle?
For the dollar.
To get more money for doing the same thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I think more than anything, I'm from immigrant parents that actually traveled all over the world to look for better opportunities. And by the time I was born, they settled in South Africa.
Right.
So it's good for me. But imagine if they give birth to me in God knows.
Yeah.
And it worked out for my good. So if the thought process is if I can land in a country or in a continent that will offer my children better opportunities, then why not?
Especially because you living the benefit of your parents having gone to seek out better opportunities. So now it's not a foreign concept to you.
Yes.
It's like we move to where there's opportunity.
100%.
Wow.
And I think what we also, and there was a study that was done about this quite a few years ago around how South Africans didn't actually move around very often. But like Nigerians, people from different
yes.
the world.
There will be
Houston is little Lagos.
And they say that. That's good.
They will do that. And I think what the whole consensus around it is we all just trying to live a better life. And we are trying to go to the next place. So if you hear that the people in this community are like settling in the UK and the education there is more affordable.
Yes.
And maybe the job there is going to make sure your kids go to varsity.
When you retire, there's better healthcare. There's all those things to consider.
Yeah, for me, I grew up around a time where au pairing was a big thing.
Yes.
The au pairing era, there were a couple girls in our community. We grew up in the township, so after matric, what they would do is if they weren't sure what they wanted to do, or if there was like a money issue, they'd be like, no, I'm going to do au pairing for a year and then come back with money. And I saw a couple people do, and I mean, the economy was different then. So they would go overseas for a year, sometimes two, depending on the family, if they wanted to extend. And one of the girls, Uku, came back and she bought a car cash. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to go from books to books. I want to make money. So I definitely considered it at a younger age. And my mom was like, you're not doing that. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll stay and study. And I stayed and studied. And even when I moved on to sort of my tech career, and there was this point in time where Canada was doing these STEM visas. And I was like,
yes.
Or like a lottery. What do they call it? The visa
Green
lottery.
card lottery.
I was like, oh, maybe I want to do this. And I was like, oh, but it's cold. I don't want to be cold. I also don't want to be inconvenienced. That's my problem. I was like, I think a part of me was just scared of how am I going to be received in another country. Right, and that's, I think, to this day, things that scare me. I'm happy to travel, holidays, cocktails, but living, especially when I've heard from other South Africans who live in the Canada spaces, are like, yes, it's great, you do make the money, but sometimes what you pay for in cost of living, like there's rules of like your nanny. You can't do what you do with Sister Bettina at home, whereas give them 200 rand.
Pick one.
You need to register them by law. The nannies, they drive cars, which means you're paying someone a proper salary to take care of your home, and those are the things that drain you. Whereas here, the legislator around those type of services are not as bad, so your salary is able to extend. So things like that started to scare me. I was like, let me cool the jets and wanting to go overseas.
I've considered living at different stages of my life and for different reasons. So I was definitely part of that au pairing. Yes. And I know you're younger than me, but I even remember.
No, it goes way back.
Yeah, I remember, the session we attended. I mean, it took 23,000. I think my parents had to have 23,000.
Right.
Something like that to just go.
That was
right?
super,
Yeah, that was, but then. But really recently it was, and I know I'm going to, at the risk of sounding like a clever black, it was the NHI policy.
Really?
That was a huge consideration because the idea of being paid for services rendered from our government was very scary.
So the NHI policy with respect to you being a medical professional.
Absolutely, being a psychologist. The idea of now all this money is centralized, and then when I see some gay,
you have to claim.
I'll have to claim from the government. So I see, however, that was very scary. Just considering that the work that I do, when I did work with Road Accident Fund, I mean, I still have money outstanding that I haven't been paid. Wow. So that was very scary.
So the efficiency of the system and actually executing this, you were concerned about.
Very, very
and
worried.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
So, but I've also had patients who left, especially for Australia one, and they left, and the reason they came back was the landscape, right? They said as much as Australia is beautiful, there's something about the landscape of Africa.
You can't compare.
They missed, and they say the vegetation is amazing. The vegetation is amazing. But the smell of Africa, the everyday conversations, the random conversation. I mean, South Africa, we are great. Hey?
Yeah. No,
I was laughing at myself.
we're the naughty kids in class.
I was laughing at myself the other day. The hospital manager is Afrikaans speaking.
Yeah.
And I'm picking up a phone from my office. Hey, Fan, how do I spell Lebwani? I mean, so a Sowetan asking. So it's those kind of things, that they miss. The
camaraderie.
The camaraderie, those beautiful moments. So, but I think instead of overseas, then I thought maybe I could go closer within the continent because I still have, I feel a responsibility to serve in my continent. So it started with wanting to go much further, New Zealand, Canada. Yes. But I thought even if the NHI was in place, I'd consider maybe Botswana, Mos. so that I still remain in the continent. Because I think South Africans, we are happy at home. We love our home. So we don't, although people say...
though? I mean, when there's load shedding and that electricity, we had
immigrating.
First of all, load shedding is back, okay? And I stay in one of those grids. I stay in an apartment. I stay in Sandton, darling, because hey now.
Excuse
and I stay in one of
us.
those grids where I think someone was like, don't switch off there.
Yeah, problematic grid.
And we all knew, keep quiet, don't tweet. Guys, is there load shedding? We don't have, just shut up and enjoy your electricity. Last week, it wasn't load shedding, but a fault in the substation. We didn't have electricity for 3 days straight. And I swear I was ready to phone my American ex-boyfriend and like, let's work it out. Because electricity.
One thing, service delivery is definitely a huge reason why people leave. It's we don't have a decent healthcare system, and I'm paying additional for healthcare.
Yes, for private health, private education, private security.
Electricity, it's on, it's off, but I still get a bill that's as if I've had electricity full time.
The whole time.
There's definitely things that tick boxes for people to be like, I've had enough. And then political changes as well, and people are like, deuces, last year, I keep forgetting it's 2025. Catch up. 2023, South Africa lost 1,700 millionaires. That's about 5+ billion in taxes. Which means who carries the weight of those taxes?
What do you mean lost them? They immigrated.
They immigrated to mostly. There were 5 countries they listed. It's the Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada, Netherlands.
Netherlands.
I don't know, they like the cold. I don't know, I like warmth, so I wouldn't survive in those, but they lost that many, and it affects us also when people consider to leave, because we carry the burden of taxes. Because what happens when SONA comes around, they do the numbers?
I still think we love our country. Could we love it more? Yes. But we have generally in South Africa, and I think it's not even South Africa, it's a human thing. There's greed that for me underpins the service delivery thing. But I think someday we do love our country.
Listen,
we could love it more if we rid ourselves of greed.
Where do we, and Michelle, I want you to come in here, because you are very clear on people, making decisions around, this is what I need to do, even though it's uncomfortable. Especially professionals, small business owners putting themselves in selling. You're a sales expert, right? Guys, I was in a relationship with someone who was very handsome. Okay, it wasn't a relationship, it was a situationship. Wait, that's besides the point. Very handsome, okay? 6-pack, called me all the time, but he didn't want to commit. To me, that was a misalignment of values, and also it was abusive in nature, all right, in that I like you for this, but I don't like you enough to solidify and take it further. And sometimes I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship with South Africa. I'll be honest with you. I'm in an abusive relationship with my country, where I wear you on my head. I'm proudly South African. I've been booked to speak in over 10 countries as a professional speaker, and I'll start and say, Sanbonani, welcome to, I'm South African. And, oh, you speak so well, I'm South African. What does the country do for me?
Are you asking South Africa what she brings to the table?
I think in this moment I was asking God even.
I don't think you have to exchange one for the other. You can be proudly South African and move for better opportunities. One thing about the country, unfortunately, is we lack a lot of things in terms of career progression. And I want to refer now specifically because I have a dear friend who's a doctor. She just finished her years. And, we have the problem right now of they're unable to place them. There's just no money. She went for it, and it was so fast. She went for an interview last week, Wednesday. She phoned me Friday and said, Fred, I got the job. I'm going to Ireland. And I'm like, okay.
You're kidding me.
Within 2 days, she got the job. She said, a friend, I'm moving to Ireland. I just need to sort out visas. And as soon as that's done, I'm off and the contract will be signed. She does not want to leave. She is forced to leave. There are no jobs. If I stay here, I'm going to go hungry. So as a professional, I think there's also circumstances. Yes, there's the choice part. I want opportunities. And there's the circumstantial part. I can no longer sustain my life here for whatever reason.
Michelle, if you don't jump in, you will not speak.
Listen.
We are talking.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? I think we need to think about South Africa as a new democratic country that's like how many years now? 30.
30.
30 years.
32.
And what you realize is
one.
that for the most part, the system
34.
is not. Is it 34?
33. 33.
I'm 92.
94.
It's 30,
31.
31.
25.
31 or 31.
Maths was not, I don't know what's happening here with
That's
the
why I'm not a
maths.
CA, y'all.
Doctor,
The
I'm
numbers.
worried. I'm worried about you.
It's 31. And not a lot of things have changed. But one thing we can agree on is that Africa has, and I think from an African landscape, they've got a great ability to training professionals. But they can't keep professionals, right?
Who's they?
You
Us.
guys, South Africa.
Oh.
As a whole, just as a
Yeah, okay, okay.
system. So you guys will make great doctors, but there's no employment for them. Because there's no infrastructure for the employment. So you have to look at things like
We
that.
have
And
an
I think
intense training program here.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think my perspective, especially with the work that I do, is like you can look at the problem. You can be an idealist or you can be a realist.
Right.
An idealist means it would be nice if like they trained us so well and then it also gave us the job.
I wish. Yeah.
Right? And then realistic is like, it's great that they're training us, but it's also great that we can have the opportunity to go out there
Yes.
into other countries and get employment and come back.
Yes.
So for me, that's my perspective. I don't think that there's anything wrong with people going out. When it starts affecting, let's say for instance in the medical field, and it starts affecting our ability to provide South Africans
With quality health care.
then we need to talk from a systematic point of view. How do we then kind of create a bridge within that?
Yes, but there's interesting solutions coming out, and I know you had. I can see from your face, Doc, you're burning to say something.
Yeah.
there's interesting solutions coming out, and one of them is actually coming out from Profmed, which is Finder, FIN.DR, which is an app where young unemployed doctors register, and basically it's like a virtual marketplace for medical professionals. And so as an ordinary South African looking for a doctor, you then can choose, who
Do
you
they
want
have
to
have
get
a practice
services.
or?
Tom, I don't know the technicalities.
So
Go to the website, www.profmed.com.
So the other thing just to mention around that is also realizing that the world globally is like moving into a digital space where
For
even medicine is
sure.
changing itself.
For sure.
Thank you.
Sometimes we're not running away because there aren't opportunities. We're running away because maybe we don't see how that digital landscape is translating to our people.
Oh, it's very slow
And
here.
opportunities for me. Thank you.
But two things for me. I look at somebody like Chico Twala. When I'm thinking of the unemployed trained professionals.
Right.
If you look at someone like Chico Twala, who, when I grew up, I listened to, I need some money, right? And how he's managed to evolve and stay relevant.
yeah.
And I think, and this is what we do in coaching, obviously,
Yes.
that we say, okay, it's important that even after your training. So I think this situation for me is an opportunity to look at how can I still find a problem to solve and then get rewarded, because you're not rewarded by employment, but you. So if we look at just Chico and how you take your skills and evolve them, and not be married to, I wanted to practice this way, and get some coaching, career coaching around.
Didn't go this way.
With
Let me try
this,
something
even with
else.
this qualification, what other problems can I solve in my country or beyond my country if I choose
Continuous
to?
professional development from a relevance point of view.
Evolution.
Because we tend to think continuous professional development hours is for me to be, if I'm a CA or a financial planner,
I must
my
always do
continuous
this
hours are,
chart.
okay, what's the update on tax? What's the update on? We continually develop ourselves in this lane, upwards instead of wide.
Absolutely.
And when someone asked me 2 weeks ago, so what do you do? They were like meeting me for the first time. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Because I'm a speaker, author, podcaster, influencer. I make money. Just providing solutions where brands need to communicate information or companies need to provide training for their employees. Or you understand? So I didn't limit myself
To one
say
thing.
I'm some guy, a banker who studied accounting and has an MBA or a dissertation on indebtedness, and therefore that's all I'm going to do. Even now, we're sitting on a medical podcast, right? Talking careers. Because at the end of the day, as people, we find ourselves in an evolving landscape.
Absolutely.
And we find ourselves having to evolve and also having to look at the bigger picture about what's going on with, and even how our clients are changing. Because your clients, now my clients one-on-one that used to come to me for financial wellness are coming to me for brand development. Because why? That's how they're positioned to earn more money. Is it still financial wellness and wealth creation? Yes. But if I'd been married to, if I'm not looking at a budget, I'm not solving your need. I wouldn't.
Don't run, stay and evolve.
I call it and I haven't trademarked it. I call it a solution bearers mindset. So, and knowing that I do have a solution for a problem that exists. Mine is to find a problem that with this situation, instead of waiting for government, with this situation. And I can think of an example of somebody actually who does my sister's nails, right?
Yeah.
So she studied a BA in fine arts, right?
Okay.
And then use that instead of just limiting herself to, I'm going to paint,
do ballet or whatever.
Yeah, and then that you're going to buy once and never buy again, for your home. She decided to be a nail technician. So use that skill, do you see, out of the box. Use that skill.
It's still art
and then it's still art.
form.
She's repackaged it differently. And so with coaching, I think one can look at all of those
Can
things.
also bring a reality again to the table. And that's the fact that, again, I'll go back to the talk around South Africa being a democratic country that is 31 years old, and the reality that a lot of people are thinking from the politics of the stomach more than they are from a progressive point of view. So the reason why I need to go to America by the end of this year is because I've got bills, I've got black tax, I've got children, I've got this and this that needs to be done. There is no time for me to sit around and try to...
For the country.
No.
I need to be for my family.
I can't wait for the country to catch up.
But that's exactly the problem.
Yes, 100%.
That's exactly.
We are the country. We are the catch-up.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, is that because we're losing, I mean, if 2023 we lost 1,700 of them, how much did we lose last year?
No wonder
How
the
much are we
dating
gonna
pool
lose
is so...
Because the billionaires are gone.
Because we can do both, right, Michelle? I mean, we can still provide for our families, but also serve communities, right?
But I think also let's bringing it back to reality again. We're also talking about a generation that came out of apartheid. They're on survival mode. That's the reality of it, is that a lot of people are on survival mode. So,
And we were sold dreams.
exactly.
A better future for who? Oh, you know yourselves, that party. So I also thought, I was like, woo, we're moving to the suburbs. We're going to have mansions, you know.
But you gotta pay for it.
And work for it.
And we're going to have electricity in the suburbs.
What do you think? There is a need to move from survival mode to living?
100%. I think that there's a big need to do the mindset work.
Transition.
I do also acknowledge that it can be very difficult to do mindset work when you're in survival mode. It's like, just give me bread. Don't give me a session.
But that's
Or when you've got
100%.
where you've got siblings that you're paying school fees for, and now you're saying put the country first, and especially in the face of such rife, overt, rampant corruption in our faces. You want me to put the country first when you, who is in office for the country, where you are being paid to put the country, it's literally your day job, aren't doing so. Why do you want me to be loyal to the country?
Someday we need to start somewhere. We can't wait for the next person to start. I feel I have a responsibility to this country to do something.
What gives you that responsibility, though, Dr. D? Like, where does it come from?
The soil of this country received my umbilical cord.
Yes.
I owe it.
Yes.
Should I go? I'm an African. I owe my being to this soil and my God. So that's, I can give you a whole long list of other reasons why. So I think we can't wait for politicians. If you and I and Michelle do a bit to okay, I'm going to solve a problem that will solve my problem, my black tax problem or whatever, and I'm going to also look for problems that I can solve that can impact lives and bring some change that I desire.
I fully agree with you, Doc. And I think in the greater scheme of things, there is also the reality that there are people who are graced with the gift of wanting to make a change. And I think that's
not a seed that
and
lives
it's
in
not
everybody.
it's not everybody. And we are grateful for people like that. And I think different people feel called to change a specific thing in a different field, and eventually we'll knit at the top will change. But those that have to go,
Do I have to be here to make a change? Can't I go to the US, earn my dollars, start
You
a
can.
foundation, and pray for Africa with my Navy
still be
blue
taxed,
passport?
though.
You know,
Unless you
do I have to be
renounce-
beholden to the Green Mamba, or can I have my American citizenship? I'm like, sisters, fight the good fight.
Send my-
I am sending my. I've got a
So
foundation.
you would be willing to go far as renounce, because you know you still have to pay tax if you're on the other side and you are South
That's
African.
not a problem. That's not a problem.
So you're happy. So you're happy to do that.
To go
You
to
would not
America.
You told me about your green card.
Honestly,
That's why I'm asking.
pre-
Would you renounce your South African citizenship?
Today.
Hectic.
that hurts.
That's something else. Yeah.
I feel
I'm all about making money, but I love my
It's not
country.
about making money. Can I tell you what my primary concern is? My primary concern is that, I think I've said this in every episode, but I'm turning 40 this year. I'm as single as a dollar bill. My kids are sorted. Their father has them sorted. And I'm like, Samge, at 60, let's just assume, for whatever reason, you don't settle down. They are 60, you know, starting to have healthcare issues, blah, 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 blah. In South Africa?
You want to be buried
Or
in
rather,
America.
listen, in rands, I would want to do a stint. And what I'm seeing a lot of people do is go do a stint abroad, build a balance sheet, come back, buy themselves a mansion off grid, and basically say, South Africa, you can do what you want. I've got a borehole, I've got electricity, I've farmed my food. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've created safety for myself. If I was speaking God's honest truth, for me, I am concerned about my safety in my old age in this country.
Look, how we contribute, where we contribute, shares, if you want to be, I'm not going to prescribe how we contribute to the
Right.
well-being of this country. If you want to do it away, if you want to do it within, that's fine. But I'm a firm believer in be the change you
want to see.
You want to see. I'm a
If
firm
we all
believer.
run, nothing's gonna
And
change.
it's fine. If you go overseas and you take care of your need for safety, and you still have a responsibility to say, how can I make it a bit harder for the next person to do a stint and come back where those opportunities are there? I think then we'll
look
be
at
going
Elon
somewhere.
Musk. He's currently the richest man in the world right now.
As a South African.
Did you have to mention him?
Right?
You want to go to the US.
I don't want to go to him.
He's there waiting for you.
Continue, Michelle. You're making sense.
If he was in South Africa.
All those that vote for yes, raise your hands.
If he was in South Africa,
If
finish
he
the
was
question.
in South Africa, would Elon Musk be as rich as he is? Hand up if you think yes, he would be as rich as he
I
is if he
don't
was.
know. He's solving
He wouldn't be.
You're
Don't lie.
solving- No, Samke, wait. Elon Musk is solving a problem, and sometimes the problem you're solving requires that you go to a different location.
That's true. If you think
because
about
the
how you become
technology
rich,
is
you become
there.
rich of X and these
So
things.
it's not a matter of
That's
Africa
new,
can't. I think it's a matter of what's the nature of the problem you're solving, and then where's the best location?
But he himself said that he wouldn't have had the opportunities because he made his money with PayPal.
Yeah.
Right? That was the first time. No, he said
Yes,
himself.
PayPal made his money. He
said
renounced his
himself.
citizenship a long time ago.
Exactly. That's
so-
why I was like, how political can we get? Because Elon Musk currently does not want to
He
be
is not a South African.
In fact, he's busy. No, actually, let's not get political.
Yeah, okay.
And anyway, I still want an American visa, child, so I'm not going to speak against the current president.
They deporting people right now, but
Go
we're
Team
not there.
Orange.
America great again.
Don't call me when they're deporting you, honey.
They won't. I rebuke that in the name of the Lord.
Now, Sam, I know you've been talking about traveling and you
Thanks.
wanting to do the stint overseas.
Thanks.
But in all honesty, I'm your girl and I worry about you out there. Like, what if you get sick, girl?
Okay, first of all, I am not going to get sick. I cancel those words. But if I do, what's nice about Profmed is that you get international travel benefits.
Really?
You are covered for your medical expenses or emergencies that you experience overseas for up to 150 days.
That's like 4 months.
That is like 5 months. Where did you do maths?
Okay, well, I paused.
And if I decide to stay overseas, I can take a medical aid sabbatical, where for up to 3 years I can be overseas without paying my medical aid premiums, and if I decide to come back within those 3 years, my medical aid is immediately reinstated without underwriting, examinations, penalties, and stuff like that. So I really have flexibility and international opportunities whilst being covered. by
Consider my
Profmed.
life right now.
No, you're
maybe
staying.
maybe I should do a stint. It's like 3. What do you cover for? 3 months?
I'm not having this conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so let's assume we want to stay, right? We've explored the different angles. Yeah. Let's assume I'm a professional in South Africa, I'm a doctor, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a digital entrepreneur, whatever the case is, right? I've got skills, is what I'm saying. I've gone to school, I've got skills, I've got something of value to deliver to the world. What is some advice that you can give me, some strategies, to say this is how you can start seeking out, carving out, exploiting opportunities that exist within the country? Like someone watching saying, I get it, and I want to stay, but can someone give me something to hang my hat on?
Corporate entrepreneurship.
What is that?
Whew. Okay. So we talk about entrepreneurship in the South African context around how entrepreneurs are going to save the country.
Right.
And then sometimes it's put across as a message as if we're saying it's the unemployed people that must get up and start garter shops and do things and become entrepreneurs. But we also miss the gap that people in corporate can actually be entrepreneurial.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, number one, a side hustle point of view.
Right.
But also number two, in how they function and they work within their corporate jobs to drive the greater change. Because ideally within the big corporates, that's where the big systems actually lie.
That's where the big money is. And that's South Africa's advantage over the rest of the countries.
Exactly. So we have to
the continent.
We have to begin some form of systematic change within the corporate landscape that will influence our government institution and essentially will flow through the entire country.
I like that.
I like it even though I don't really know if I understand.
Let me try to give you an example.
You don't
Yes.
understand side hustles, Samke.
No.
The idea of being in a
No,
corporate
As an
employee.
alternative, yeah.
As an
As an
employee.
alternative. So maybe look at it that way, right? And I don't have the perfect example, but I'm going to try my best. If you had held a high position in the biggest corporate,
Right.
and you have the ability to influence certain policies or how certain things are done, or
Right.
how money revolves within that corporate.
Right.
If you can try to set whatever policy that is in a way that favors, number one, where South Africa is going progressively, but also number two, where people are and how do we begin to bridge the gap, you begin to solve the immediate problems that we have.
So
As opposed to
programs and things like that.
Yes, as opposed to trying to replicate what's happening in America. Because that's also our biggest mistake currently, is like we see what's happening globally and we want to do it the same.
Yeah, but immediately you take that to Manco or Exco and they'll tell you that our responsibility as a country, as a company, is to shareholders, not to the country.
That's
Yeah,
right.
but your company exists in South Africa that's being depleted. If all these people go,
And social.
there's no business.
So you're saying big corp has a responsibility as
at
well.
store level. So the corporate entrepreneurship, it mustn't start with Susan at reception. It must then overflow to her. It needs to start at Exco level, because if that can happen there, it's just going to flow through the entire establishment and ideally into the entire country.
Right. Dr. D?
Yeah, mine is not a quick one, but I think it will take some time. But I think one is what I've said, just the awareness of I arrived in this world with a solution to a problem. And one, let me look for a problem that my skill set, my diploma, my experience, whatever qualification can. So that's one. And then, two is really get to know yourself, right? I think if you get to know yourself and you move to what is my purpose or my mission, my life mission, right? And three, what is the message I'm here to deliver? I think if you answer, these are not quick fixes.
Yeah, they're not.
But I think it's 4 to 6 months of doing that work, then you invest long term. So I think those two things.
What I'm taking from you is that you said, don't look for the job, look for the problem.
Absolutely. And then
You always be in business.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the third thing and the last thing is whatever you're going to study, I think study it with the idea of I'm not going to use this to be employed. I'm going to use this to create employment for myself. My daughter
like
went to a
that.
college where they and for me that was what got them sold.
Yeah.
They said, look, we are not here to train you to go and look for a job. That's why we're not going to connect you to internships or whatever. We are training people who'll create jobs. So that's their mindset as
And you
as a
spoke about
college.
mindset. You spoke about mindset.
See, and they're already doing solution.
Absolutely.
They see the problem. We're not going to steer you into the internship direction. We're going to steer you into a self already channeling the mindset change from ground.
From day one.
Because you've seen,
and they're a business.
And I saw. Did you see that post on LinkedIn where someone was burning their degree? Like they literally held a lighter to their degree and they said, 6 months after graduating, I still don't have a job.
6 months.
But the thing is, the value is not in the paper. The value is you.
In the knowledge.
That's why we keep talking personal branding, putting yourself out. What you do, showcasing that, hey, this is...
Matching that piece of certificate to a problem that you can solve.
But I think to a point, Doc writes, that degree was attained from a point of if you get it, you're going to get a job. It was a
true. And that's why the purpose is so important, because then the degree doesn't matter.
Part of the survival mode,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Because you look at Israel, the startup nation. I mean, they live to start businesses as a country. Forget as the diaspora community, around the world. And perhaps as a country, we need to start having that mindset of,
and it needs to start from grade one, grade, so that it grows up with you.
Yes, it's in your DNA.
To be a problem solver.
And again, not wait for government to say, I'm going to wait for, because nothing will ever
There's
change.
no government in the world that hands you anything. Fully. So for me, again, I'll touch on something you touched on, is I'm like you. I have a deep love for my country. No matter where I go, I defend South Africa with my heart on social media.
You fought with me over South Africa. So for me... And you lost a friend.
Yes.
Over the country.
It didn't go that far for me, but okay. But so for me, it's, again, solution-based. And when I was growing up, my mom she used to work at the bank, and they were doing the whole Y2K thing, and that's how I first got in touch with computers, and I had a computer in my room, so I was on there every day.
Cheers, girl.
But by the time I got into tech and realized the demographic of people who are in tech, I was like, it's not that people don't want to be in tech, they don't know what it is. And so over the last few years, as I've been entering into this journey of corporate entrepreneurship, I've been teaching digital skills, and it's something that I absolutely love, because someone gave me an opportunity, said, Charmaine, there's these girls that don't know what tech is. They've gone and studied a BSc and they are beside themselves because there's someone from the township. Like, my dream of life is to do a tech mentorship in high school so that you know what you're getting into. That's the problem solving I'm talking about.
I like that too.
That's what I want to do. Those are the solutions that as South Africans you becoming, and this is not even something that's going to benefit me, but it's for the next ones following me. Let's churn out. Let's be the next Silicon Valley in here.
And why not? And when you said it's not even something that's going to benefit me, it's at the heart of actually who we are as South Africans. It's the spirit of Ubuntu. And Dostane recently passed away, may his soul rest in peace. And he was renowned, a billionaire, renowned for saying, I am not leaving South Africa. I am reinvesting. He was the head of a very big global insurance company. Founded my favorite Eatrian hotel, the Saxon, shameless plug. Please give me a free campaign. And I just, to think of this old rich white man saying I'm not going anywhere, then abo samke mhlongo, or like I would leave tonight. It speaks to the fact that it's not always because of not being patriarchal. It's not always. It's a lot of the times it's actually fear driven.
True.
A lot of the times it's actually fear driven. And I like how throughout this conversation you're like, but let's get back to reality, because it's one thing to be poetic and inspired, but at the end of the day, when those bills are coming, when you're looking at it's a new year, what are my financial goals? Am I still able to afford my, medical aid, my insurance, my expenses? Interest rates are going up. Am I able, you understand? Am I able even to buy a property? As millennials,
we're still renting.
You understand? So it's not even about the fact that it's difficult to think about others when I myself am at risk.
Got you.
And as human beings,
Got you.
you know,
Yeah.
we are self-preservationists.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have to look after me first. It's in my, you call,
Psyche.
which brain? You've got the mammalian brain, what brain, dog? You know, you talk about the brain levels. But it's at that base level where I'm like, listen, if my shelter, if I'm not sure about the safety of my shelter, my
the
food,
Maslow's hierarchy
my
of needs.
yes,
Yeah.
then don't tell me to be altruistic. The future of the country,
Yeah, but I think
sure.
we need to try both because life is about both, isn't it? Nature teaches us all the time. Every day has got nighttime and daytime.
Right.
So while we push, for our goals, I think the two can coexist. It's like in a marriage, I can still have an identity and still have two things can. So I'm just saying, both, can coexist beautifully, and we can find. Mhlambe, initially it could be 70% me, 30%, But
I see. It doesn't have to be 50-50 or 100-0.
Yeah.
There's a healthy balance, and it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
If I were a billionaire, I mean, I'd also build myself a little development density. And be like, I'm not going anywhere. I've got a whole estate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't even have a property and you're worried about,
you're not attached to anything.
It's different realities.
Yeah.
But I like what you said about creating those opportunities and looking for problems to solve. Michelle, what would you? So, are you staying or going? Or you plead the fifth?
Where the Lord leads.
You're gonna bring Jesus. You brought Jesus.
Where you lead.
Servants of the Most High. Where the Lord leads.
Yo, what a scapegoat. Total fact. What a scapegoat.
You can't question it. It's done.
Dr. D, you can't. Okay.
Dr. D's with me.
Even to the high five. Are you staying or going?
I'm staying, Samke. And you know why. My next chapter,
Yes.
I still need this as a location.
Yes.
And I don't want to work from a place of fear.
Oh, and you don't. Guys, so Dr. Dimakatso is actually my therapist. Like, I've been going on and all the conversations about I'm on meds and I'm in therapy. She's helped me change my life. And one of the wisdoms you preach is, we don't operate from fear. We don't make decisions from fear. We don't make decisions from elation. We make decisions rationally.
Because fear exaggerates every reality.
It dramatizes the whole thing. It makes it bigger than it really is.
It blows it up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we do it from love, we do it from purpose, we do it from calling. Then there's an ease.
Yes.
But if my location, if the Lord says the location is somewhere,
Lead
there,
me, follow me.
There we go.
I will follow you.
Shaz, are you staying or going?
I'm staying, honey.
I knew you'd say you're staying.
I love my country.
Even in the news when Kagame was like, if South Africa wants war, Shaz like, let's go. I'm like, Shaz, I'm Sabu Kagame.
I wanted to go to Rwanda this year, yes.
Go, why not go?
No, now I'm not sure with how he feels about us right now.
Just stay at home, honey. You're safe here.
My honest answer is I'd like to do a stint abroad.
Stints are great.
I'd love to do a stint abroad. I think in my immediate world, there are a lot of countries. My sister lives in New York. My stepbrother lives in New York. My daughter's in the UK. My ex-husband's Zimbabwean. So my world has always been bigger than South Africa.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So there's a certain curiosity there.
For sure.
There's a certain, just belief that I can taste the different dishes in the buffet of life.
For sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I see myself being a Manhattan wifey at some point in my life.
She wants to be on Real Housewives of Orange County.
Child, so it's less about that. I do have frustrations about South Africa. I've been privileged to exploit a lot of opportunities in South Africa. So South Africa works for me, and that is a privilege that I don't take for granted. It is a privilege. South Africa works for me. However, I'm curious.
Absolutely.
And I'm hungry and I'm inquisitive.
And then
what's
come
out
home.
there? What's out there? What's it like to date American? What's it like to date a Frenchman? Like, talk to me in French. But that literally happened. I was like, talk to me in French. This French guy was like, but you don't understand. I'm like, but it gets the people going. It's okay. Okay. So just continue. Oui. Okay. So I'm just a curious individual, and
Yeah.
that's my honest
And
opinion.
that's chill.
I can relate with that.
That's chill.
For me, as long as you're coming home, girl,
I can
I'm good with
As
that.
long as it's buya, sizobuya dal.
Okay.
We're coming home. We're coming home.